you got to talk about Frank Manzo. We all know the numbers. 83 national event wins, 12 championships, well on his way to his 13th. But Frank here today can do something that possibly nobody ever has done in drag racing.
Not lose a race in a century at a particular event. And he's the only guy to win here since the year 2000. Now, technically, he'd have to win 2010. That would be the end of the decade,
sure.
You know. But, I mean, 36 straight round wins here. He came here the first year of this event, an 8-car field in 1985, limped in on the bump spot, and then wound up winning the race. And the rest, as they say, is history. I mean, and just like we said at Brainerd, when Frank Manzo was in the field, there's not even a discussion that he's the class of the field right here.
You know, Frank Manzo's home track may be Englishtown, but he has made more runs here than any place at all, and that's possibly why he is so good. So good once again, the #1 qualifier here. Here he is in round #1 against Marty Nothstein.
Taking on an Olympic gold medalist, but I got to tell you, Frank Manzo looks like Usain Bolt here next to the Olympic guy.
Yes, he does.
Crushed him.
There's the numbers, 5:56. That's low for the weekend. Marty's 5:66, the third best time slip of the round, but unfortunately it came up against Frank.
The person, the man, the ace, all names that Frank Manzo is called, and to some drivers who are beaten by this man, he is called Goliath. Frank, you are coming up against a decade-long here of wins at Maple Grove Raceway, but we understand you faced some challenges yesterday. Can you tell us what happened with your air compressor?
Well, we were very fortunate yesterday while we were working on the car. For some reason, the air compressor tank blew up, and we don't know why. You know, it was 10 years old and anything can happen, but thank God there was nobody inside the trailer, and did a little bit of damage to the trailer, but we'll get all that fixed. And so who knows, maybe our luck has started already. Pretty lucky nobody got hurt.
Well, you have a lifelong history here. 1985, you won the first event, national event here at Maple Grove Raceway. Now you're being inducted into the Maple Grove Walk of Fame. Can you tell us what that means to you?
A great honor. You have no idea. Be up there with John Force, Kenny Bernstein, and you know, they're all professionals. I'm a sportsman racer, and just to be up there and be included with those people was just a great honor to me.
Let's be honest. Most importantly, you're in there with Bob Fry.
Yes, I forgot about Bob Fry. Ooh, I'm in trouble now. But yeah, you know, Bob has been up there. I mean, he's a great announcer and just does a great job.
Thank you.
I would certainly have to agree. Mr. Fry will get his proper accolades. I'm very honored to be here today with a couple of people that certainly need mention. Lauren down at the front, her name, the Stauffer name, been very instrumental at Maple Grove Raceways. We talked about Frank Manzo entering the Walk of Fame. Look at that other man up there, Bob Fry, along with some pretty good company. Congratulations to you on an honor well-deserved.
Well, thank you, and it's such an honor, especially with that class. I mean, Bernstein and Force and Joe Giacona, one of the great Hall of Famers, and match racers, and Lee Krupe, one of the great engine builders from the very formative days here at this racetrack. So very honored. Thank you very much.
Especially when you got a couple other guys up there. Let's see, is that Kenny Bernstein and John?
Yeah. John Force.
Yeah, we might have heard of them. We also have heard of Frank Manzo. We know what's in stake for him today. Talked to him during some of that cleaning session when the NHRA Safety Safari was dealing with the weepers. And Frank, he's very, very humble. Admits, though, this is a big moment for him, and he's a little bit nervous.
Yeah, he just did a great job out there. There really is nobody else in this class right now like Frank Manzo. I think if you had a revote for the top 50 drivers of all time, Frank would have to be a top 10er right now.
Can Freddie Tiggets take him out here and end the dream of a decade's worth of wins at Maple Grove? Oh, Frank was wiggling around. He maybe was vulnerable. 561, 258. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's 38 straight wins now in national event competition at Maple Grove Raceway.
And that just shows how great he is. He is wallowing around down there in the middle of the racetrack. Fred Tiggets put a 001 light on him, had a couple of hundreds out of the bank. Far from perfect run. In fact, the first time in the last 2 races we have seen Frank not make a good run. You see Fred drove it off a little crooked on the starting line. Frank goes 561 on a bad run. That's how good he is. He was taking on Fred Tiggets. Out of the entire 15 other cars in this lineup, there are only 4 guys that have ever beaten Frank at a national event.
Now, there's Frank Manzo doing his burnout. DJ Cox on the other side. We talk about it all the time. DJ, of course, has to go green, but the car's got to step up a little bit.
He's going to have to stay within himself. We've seen a lot of guys get up against a Frank Manzo or some of the high qualified or highly touted team cars, try to get a big advantage on the line. You're not going to beat Frank off the line by enough to make a margin of victory from the difference in performance of the race cars. Give yourself a shot. Get a green light. He's a second-generation racer. Got a solid race car right here. Frank was a little vulnerable. That's a relative term because he ran a 5:61 in the last round. Absolutely loves running here at this racetrack. And as I mentioned to Brainerd, he's been having his way with most of the field, but you still got to go out there and do it on the track. And Frank will tell you, especially the way he runs his car, he could be vulnerable to some of the tire shake like we saw from Marty Thacker.
Do you think Frank Manzo can psych himself out?
Not in this lifetime.
We see it every now and then, like the red light to start this year in Pomona.
Nah, that was just, he will tell you, we used that brain fade term earlier.
Yep.
He said that. He said, my brain said go, my foot said okay, but he's not going to get himself psyched out. He lives life on a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Not too many emotional highs, no emotional lows.
Can DJ Cox end a potential 10-year string? We'll find out in about 5.5 seconds. Oh my.
Yeah. He was really psyched out.
0-10 on the tree, 5:59 at the finish line, 259 miles an hour, and Frank Manzo now 1 win away, 10 straight years.
And from psyching people out, he was just about perfect on the line. And after watching Mark White make a great run at 560, talk about a little psychological edge, Frank Manzo goes one better. He'll have lane choice in the finals in the for what it's worth category, but he just running flawless. Look at that, 259 miles an hour. That is a big time speed for Frank. Nobody runs their cars harder or faster, and over the last decade, nobody's run them even better than Frank Manzo.
Does bucolic setting work better?
Good, very good, excellent.
Back at Maple Grove Raceway, time now for the Top Alcohol Funny Car Final, where Bob Fry, we might have a very historic moment. That is, if Frank Manzo can beat Mark White, as it's gotten very late in the day.
Frank Manzo, let me give you some stats. 50-4 in his last 54 final rounds. 32-1 in his last 33 final rounds. 22-0 in his last 22 final rounds. You want a piece of that? Now, they really banged the back of that car up when that pilot chute came out and the wires and the line jump really tore off the back of that race car. Dave?
And Bob, everybody's down here for Bob Tasker. We're going to take a very unique angle of this. Sorry to get you in the eye. Go watch your mentor there. I'm going to watch him as well. We're going to have a lot of fun seeing if Frank can close this deal out.
And Mark White, one of the few guys in recent years, when I say recent years, I mean the last decade, to actually beat Frank in the final round. These two went at it in the finals at Charlotte last year, and Frank got the win right there. Evenly matched in the last 2 runs with both cars running in that 560 range. Mark White cannot give this thing away. He's got a race car that can run with Frank. Big time move off the starting line for Frank. Mark White's going to give him a run at the stripe. The win is going to go to Frank Manzo, and he wins it on a hole shot.
How about that? That is incredible, and I'm down here right in the middle of all of this with a very happy team. John Glade, 40 consecutive round wins, 10 straight years. You, Frank Manzo, have won Maple Grove. What does it feel like?
Not me, Frank Manzo. The guy's going in that white van right now. Frank and I can't do it without him. Don't anybody forget that.
What does that man mean to you?
I can't describe it. I mean, Frank's my buddy.
Can you describe this moment?
I'm ready to cry.
Good stuff, Bob.
A great job there. He talks about the guys in the truck and John Glade with Ed Hoffman and Freddie Bauer and Scott Seesing, and they've just done a great job. Ironically, the last time they met, when I mentioned that Mark White beat Frank Manzo, was back in 2002, and Frank lost that one on a hole shot.
Unbelievable.
Yes, it is unbelievable. We'll take a look at this again. I mean, let's face it, Mark White was very good on the line. He was 0.59, but gave up 300s. Great drag race right down there, and this is why Frank Manzo is the absolute best at his class. Raises his game, does what he has to do. That is basically a flawless run for a guy that spent a lot of time working on the back of that race car. The body loves that Chevrolet. And the Lucas Oil folks going to be giving him another trophy at the Lucas Oil ceremony at the end of the season. Let's go down to Lawrence Stauffer.
Frank Manzo, 10th win here at Maple Grove in the last 10 years. How amazing is that? It was a win on a hole shot.
It's unbelievable. I mean, my car ran really, it ran really consistent all day. My guys worked hard. We had a little problem in the semis, and Mark White is a great driver, and they have a great team over there, and they were running with us all weekend. And, we tried to step it up in the final, and did all kind of weird things out there. The track was excellent, but to come out here in 10 in a row, wow, unbelievable.
We look forward to seeing if you can become the winningest driver in Indy as well.
Indeed we do, Lauren. That's the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, and that's where we head next. What a great vantage point to watch Frank Manzo make history right here at the starting line, right here.